You've been calling Fig Newtons by the wrong name. So, what's the proper term for these tasty snacks? The answer may surprise you. Fig Newtons have had a flavorful journey from their creator's imagination to becoming one of the most popular American snacks. However, many Americans are under a false impression when it comes to these fruit-filled cookies. It's a strange but true fact that might shock fans of the iconic snack. The surprising truth has nothing to do with the cookies being named after famed scientist Sir Isaac Newton, even though a town in Massachusetts is the actual namesake, according to ThoughtCo. The big secret also has nothing to do with the fruity filling.
This is the one and only Fig Newton.
ThoughtCo also says that while manufacturer Nabisco isn't divulging the recipe, the likely culprit is dried mission figs. Taste Atlas shares how those are among the most common varieties of figs, so that checks out and shouldn't shock most people. No, it turns out the huge reveal is all about how you've probably referred to them over the past decade. As it turns out, you should have dropped the fig in the name from your daily vernacular back in 2012, because that's when Nabisco rebranded the cookies to simply Newtons. So why were the cookies rebranded? Well, Nabisco wanted to draw attention to the fact that it also sold Newtons in other flavors, such as strawberry and raspberry, not just fig. Dropping fig from the name was also part of an effort to modernize the snack food. But this wasn't the first rebrand for the cookies either. Some consumers today might remember when Nabisco marketed them as fruit and cake instead of cookies prior to the 1980s.
A cookie is just a cookie, but fat-free Newtons are fruit and cake.
But if you believe that you've seen packages bearing the name Fig Newton since 2012, that was a pure figment of your imagination. It also turns out that there's something to Nabisco once marketing Newtons as fruit and cake. As ThoughtCo points out, the likely inspiration for creator Charles M. Roser's Newtons was the classic British fig rolls. ThoughtCo explains that British immigrants in the United States made the fig rolls as homemade treats. Fig rolls are a simple food composed of a pastry with a preserve-like fig filling. The homemade version of the treats remains popular in the United Kingdom today. In fact, the Great British Bake Off offers up Judge Paul Hollywood's recipe for the pastries. If you ever want to get a taste for the work Roser put into creating Newtons, checking out Hollywood's recipe would be a great place to start. Roser gets the credit, though, for creating the specific recipe for Newtons and then selling his recipe to the Kennedy Biscuit Company. So enjoying a fig roll or a Newton isn't among the ways you've been eating figs wrong. However, it does represent a bit of American history. If you've shopped a cookie or cracker aisle at a store recently, you might have noticed all of the products bearing the Nabisco brand name. That's the result of a popular business strategy that not only brought Newtons under the Nabisco umbrella, but also put significant marketing resources behind the cookies. Company Histories relates the story of how the National Biscuit Company was created in 1898 through a merger of two bakeries. The New York Biscuit Company and the American Biscuit Company were, at the time, conglomerations themselves. According to Company Histories, one of the products they acquired in that process was Newtons. The new conglomerate controlled much of the bakery market, and it wasn't afraid to spend on advertising. In fact, through its first decade of operation, it spent an unheard of amount of $7 million on marketing its products, such as Newtons, nationwide. Thus, Newtons went from a take on British fig rolls to a household name. No one is probably going to blame you if you continue to call these cookies Fig Newtons, though, and Nabisco likely doesn't care what you call them, as long as you buy them. But now, you can impress your friends with your Newtons knowledge. And who knows, maybe these facts will come up in the next trivia game you play.